welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to share a little bit of insight about being witnessed and being seen that I was thinking about today. So I feel like people really underestimate the importance of being witnessed, and the more open you are and honest about yourself, the more you are witnessed, and the more you are witnessed, the faster you can grow, the faster you can evolve. And this is what I give credit to how quickly I've evolved in my life, is not only how much I've been witnessed by others, but how much I've simply witnessed myself. By witnessing the self, we allow the truth to evolve into its next version. And I want to share how this also relates to narcissism, because narcissists never can really witness you, is what I've noticed. Like, I experienced this interesting dynamic where with one significant person in my life, I would find myself like talking to them, and I would always tell them things, tell them about myself, and this person was very invalidating, very judgmental, but the quiet kind, you know how when they listen to everything you say and they're judging you and they're gonna use it against you or to like gossip about you, but they don't like say it anything out loud. They'll like just be like really emotionally unavailable. So that's like this person. And then there's another like significant individual, not a significant other, but a significant individual in my life who I wouldn't consider the healthiest relationship. Like, it's definitely a difficult relationship, but I noticed like when I talk to this person, I don't fully feel seen or like understood, or like it doesn't feel fully reciprocal or like good to me, the relationship. But at the same time, talking to this person in comparison who isn't a narcissist, even when I felt misunderstood or judged, I still had that growth that comes from being witnessed, where I'd say things to this person and then I'd realize like something about myself that I hadn't seen. And that's kind of what happens, is like when you allow yourself to be seen without judgment of the self, you allow yourself to evolve and like look at where your flaws are or where you need to grow, and you just look at it and you're like, oh, maybe that person's right. But they don't even really have to like call you out. It's just the fact that they witnessed you allows you to grow through the communication and the relationship with them. But I found it so interesting how with narcissistic individuals, I don't get that witnessing. Even if they're listening, it's like I don't get that growth that comes from communicating with others and being seen by others. And so I think this is another reason why a lot of, the world is slow growing. Because, most people are conditioned to be ingenuine, never share their vulnerabilities, never share themselves openly. You know how we all go to work and we say, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. And like there is a reason for that, because professional boundaries are extremely important. And I've been learning that as well in my life recently, is like, I don't want my coworkers to know about me. And professional boundaries create safety in the workplace, because I noticed the individuals I work with that have the best professional boundaries are the ones that I really feel like I can be myself around, because I trust them. And that goes into like how when you trust someone, trust is about boundaries, really. It's like when someone trusts themselves, which you have to trust yourself to have boundaries, and has boundaries, it's easier to open up around them and trust them. Whereas you can like sense when someone doesn't really have boundaries or self-trust. And even from like a spiritual perspective, if you don't trust yourself, you are untrustworthy simply because you don't trust yourself. Does that make sense? And so that was a little off topic, but let's go back to what I was even saying, because we're talking about being seen and how important it is. Yes, and that's why people like are so slow growing, is because people aren't really truly vulnerable or honest with themselves. And honesty is something that's really easy to be honest with the self. Not for everyone, but it is for me. And that's how you create self-love. You know what I mean? It's like to know that you can just be whatever you are, whatever you feel, whatever you think with yourself, and there's no need to push any part of you away. And this is the most important part of witnessing yourself. Like, in narcissistic abuse conditioning, we are taught that certain emotions are wrong or bad. Sadness, anger, disgust. Even in spirituality, negative thoughts are told to be bad and that they're going to manifest bad outcomes for you. But the most transformational thing that ever really happened to me was me being able to get my journal and write down all of my negative thoughts. When I experienced injustice, I just go ham with my anger and like all the nasty things I was thinking about the people who harmed me. And by doing that, I freed myself. I really freed myself from a lot of negative people, negative situations, and that's also how I got out of one of the trauma bonds I was in a romantic partnership. Was I let myself feel angry, and I let myself, for the first time in my life, I let myself like rage, just with me, just me and myself raging, and just speak freely about this individual. And that rage helped me dissolve the trauma bond and the illusion of this narcissist's goodness. And so I think it's really important to witness your negative thoughts. And if you have this fear of negative thoughts manifesting your reality, I'll bust this myth for you right now, because it is, your negative thoughts are the key to breaking generational curses and the key to growth and shadow work, okay? And the way that reality creation works, it really isn't just thoughts. Because if you have a lot of negative thoughts and you pretend they're not there out of fear of them manifesting, they are still there, just sitting in your unconscious mind, which means you're not aware that they're there, or you're denying that they're there. So if you don't look at them, they're going to be manifesting, emotions, situations, outcomes, stagnation for you anyways. And then once you look at them, you allow yourself to be heard and seen. And that's one of the most healing things for a narcissistic abuse survivor, is just to be heard exactly as you are, without judgment. Just with you and you. To be heard, to be seen. That's what you deserve after going through narcissistic abuse, is to give yourself the freedom to be exactly who you want to be. To say exactly what you want to say, just between you and you. And especially when we grow up in environments where we were controlled a lot, freedom is the healing to these control wounds. Is so yeah. And every time I'm going through every time I feel stuck, I will go in my car and I'll go on a drive and I will just free flow, just say whatever. like just going off in my car. And I'll just let myself say it. And every time I do that, I witness myself, the universe, God witnesses me. And like magic, every single time without fail, in the next 1 or 2 days, I receive solutions and I grow out of whatever I was struggling with. Without fail. Every single time I receive support. And so it's when you let the universe see you in your full honesty and truth, the universe can bring support to you in its full honesty and truth of what you deserve and in the timeline that you deserve it. And so in my last video, I spoke about how narcissists aren't in reality, how they're in their own separate illusionary reality. And to explain this a little bit deeper, it's like, in order for them to maintain the level of harm they inflict on others, they have to kind of disconnect from reality to continue to avoid the guilt and shame that comes with that. And so they kind of see themselves and everyone else. And this is a little bit complex for me to explain. I kind of lost my mojo there. But so they're also seeing themselves everywhere, right? So they just live in a, you know how they're self-centered? They see themselves everywhere. And this is the universe giving them an opportunity. They get opportunities every freaking day to see themselves, to grow, to change. But they're in this world of illusion. And so it makes sense that someone who is in a world of complete illusion, completely disconnected from others, not able to see themselves or others clearly at all, it makes sense that they can't witness you, that being in a relationship with one wouldn't help you grow, wouldn't give you this, like, the freedom that being seen gives. And the thing about this, like, being seen thing is, you don't have to be recognized. You don't actually have to be truly seen. You don't even have to be understood. But the person has to be present in reality with you. And this has, like, been what I noticed on my YouTube channel creating videos, is that, like, every time I made a video, I would be growing extremely fast. And, like, I'd make a video and I'd be like, boom, onto the next lesson, onto the next piece of growth, onto the next healing, like, phase. And it was just, like, the act of being witnessed. Even if people are just perceiving me completely differently than I perceive myself, or the truth of who I am, I'm being witnessed by a present individual. And I think this is so, like, important to understand why narcissists don't grow as well. Because I said in my last video as well, they're never projecting the truth of their reality. They're never projecting the truth of themselves. And when I say projecting, I mean like showing you the truth of themselves. And so they're never being seen in their truth by themselves or others. Therefore, they can never evolve. Which, this is kind of like, I don't know if this is fully true, what I just said, because they do evolve. But they evolve in the opposite way. You know what I mean? Like, some of them I noticed, instead of evolving, like, positively, they evolve negatively. They just get better at denying, better at gaslighting, better at manipulating, better at controlling, better at harming, better at doing what they do. So it's interesting. But are they really growing, though? Because the patterns are inherited. Like, the way that narcissists act, that was inherited. And I love this isn't talked about enough. Like, you know, we all know we inherit traumas and patterns from our parents. But how? And the way how is that kids don't just observe what parents are saying or how they're interacting with each other. You inherit the energy of your parents. So in childhood, you are around your parents all the time. And even if they're not saying something, or they're not saying that they manipulate people, or being open about them manipulating people, you are learning from their energy. And all teachers, not just parents, all teachers teach through energy. Not just words, energy. And so this is why you'll notice, if a teacher isn't embodied in what they're saying, or if they don't understand what they're saying, you might feel confused or, like, have no idea what they're talking about, or, like, how to understand it, because they're not actually embodied in the energy. We are energetic beings, and when we are teaching, the words matter less than the energy that I'm giving off to you. And this is how, you know how when you watch a video and it, like, changes your life and, like, gives you insights that, like, the video didn't even talk about? That's what this energy exchange is. It's like, just by me speaking, I don't have to speak it perfectly. I can share with you the energies I feel and experience. And so this is how parents and generational trauma and generational patternings work, is the kids absorb the energy. And this is especially a thing with narcissistic abuse, because in narcissistic abuse conditioning, you are conditioned to absorb other people's energy. So you are absorbing your parents' patterns. And this is interesting, though, because, like, not everyone absorbs the like manipulation patterns or the like really toxic patterns. And I think this has to do, for me in my life, I noticed a lot of like coping skills I had as a child that I'm kind of amazed. Like, how did I know how to protect myself when I was a kid? Like, for example, every morning or every night, I used to have really bad nighttime anxiety when I was a child, every night when I was trying to sleep. And I would tell myself over and over again every night, I love my dad, I love my aunt, I love my dad, I love my aunt. That's so sweet. And that would like calm me and make me go to sleep. It was like all the pain I was going through, I somehow knew to focus on what I loved when I was feeling afraid. What? And I had all these like excellent coping skills. Like, I spent a lot of time in imagination land when I was a kid. I would create these beautiful like storylines, like complete storylines of like characters, and like just be in my own imagination world a lot. And I remember I would swim in the pool just by myself for hours. Whenever we went to the pool, I'd just be by myself and I'd pretend I was like a mermaid with like my little fish friends, and the stairs in the pool were like Mount Rushmore because I really wanted to go to Mount Rushmore. And so, yeah. But I still wonder like how some of us like cope through it. And I think it has to do with like soul experience, but also the universe, you know? The universe brings things to us to get us where we need to be and protect us from, you know, turning into someone that we're not meant to be, you know? And that's also interesting how like narcissists are meant to be narcissists because they are awakeners, you know? I couldn't have awakened or grown spiritually without the narcissists in my life. And I'm not grateful for them though. I'm not. I'm grateful for me. I'm grateful for what I've done. And I acknowledge the role they played. But I'm not grateful for abuse. And you don't have to be, in my opinion. But feel free to let me know what you think. And if you want to add anything in the comments. Thank you so much for all your support on my last video. If you're here joining me again, my name is Abigail Ellington, and this is the Starlight Healer channel. I'll see you in the next one.